Are you wondering how you can contribute to Funniest Thing?
Don't flip out. Go to patreon.com/funniest thing.
Whoa!
Oh!
That would have been crazy.
Welcome to The Funniest Thing.
Yes.
Where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
With cowboy hats and sunglasses.
I'm Darrell.
I'm Ed.
And we're broadcasting live from CHOBO Studios in
Beautiful downtown Van Nuys.
Oh my God, he's got Chobo
Chobo
money, Chobo bucks. Write us, if you write us, if you send us a postcard to Funniest Thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232, Indy will send you a Chobo buck.
Yes.
He didn't know he was going to do that, but he's committing to it now.
He's got buckets of Chobo bucks back there. So, Indy, how are you today, sir?
Doing well, great. It's a great day to podcast.
Tell me
Excited
about
for the
this
show.
whiteboard, by the way. Funniest
what's
thing.
that? Oh, with Generative Life. It's the last chapter of 12 Hours.
12
Nice.
hours.
Generative life, indeed. I love it. All right.
And the
well,
book he's referring to is The 12 Powers by Charles Fillmore.
That's right. Well, we're very excited. Today's show is called Enjoy a FearFree Diet with Reverend Anna Shouse.
It's much better than it's much more advantageous to be on a fear-free diet than a fat-free diet.
Right? A lot more delicious. Also, it takes just as much conscious choice
Yeah.
to reach for that inspired thought when you get going for that fearful thought that you might be used to thinking. So enjoy a fear-free diet with Reverend Anna Shouse. Let's give up our obsessive fears and feast on faith. Some of us have been running scared for so long that has become a habit. I know that feeling. What great news to discover it's only a habit and not a reality. So let's give up snacking on worry and start filling up on faith. This means we will no longer give in to the luxury of pre-worrying. Instead, we commit to believing that blessings are everywhere and good can come out of all things. So true. On this episode, Darrell and Ed remind listeners that each time we say no, we weaken the old habit and strengthen the new one. And during the second segment, the Angelic Anna Shouse treats us to the good stuff with today's reading, mental trends, and a whole lot more.
We're getting into a new mental trend here, folks. We're getting out of that old trend of pre-worrying.
Yes.
Pre-worrying. No more pre-worrying.
That's right. You know, I actually wanted to get in the spirit of Anna, and so on my way here, I popped on a YouTube talk from 12 years ago at the Unity of Dallas called Love Among Us. I might be the only one here who remembers it. I'm just kidding. But it says, some of the things that stuck out at me that it was divinely guided, because I just looked up Anna's name and chose the first talk that came up. But one of the things that Anna said at that time is that fear is an emotion and love is a power.
Wow.
Isn't that great? Fear is an emotion, love is a power. Another thing that Anna pointed out in this talk, Unity's philosophy is not a truth, is not a positive thinking philosophy. It's not a positive thinking philosophy.
Right.
I wrote this at a light next to a Burger King, so excuse me, I missed part of it. But it's not a positive thinking philosophy, and she wanted the whole crowd to be shocked because she likes to shock people, she said. And so, of course, they all said, ooh. She said, it is a truth thinking philosophy.
Yeah. Well, you know why I like that? Because
Yes.
that drives it home the same way our friend Terry McBride did when he
Yes.
spoke at Unity.
Yes.
And I think he was getting frustrated with some of the Unitics or some of the people
Right.
that weren't really claiming this.
Yes.
Like Anna points out, because when he's addressed them, he said, we don't live by these principles
Right.
so we can endure life. We live by these principles to transform our life,
Yep.
to transform life, even, he said. Not even just our life, all life changes.
Yes, exactly. Which leads me to the next part where Anna was talking about how it's not about ignoring the facts. It's doing what Jesus did, which is perceiving the facts from the highest point of view. That is truth thinking. It is about transforming our consciousness about what's going on. And one of the things she said in this talk was about asking ourselves to change our consciousness, loving ourselves through whatever that situation is,
Yes.
and asking, how is God present in this situation?
Well, remember, I just turned to this, folks,
Yes.
before we talked, before we came on the show. I mean, before we're talking now. And I only brought this to tease Ed with this book. I never saw this book before. It's a Butterworth book called The Creative Life.
7 Keys to Your Inner Genius.
Yeah, and you can get it online anywhere.
I do like the sound of it, and I do love Eric Butterworth.
Well, I love this because it goes along with the high perspective, the broader perspective.
And don't be cheap. I think I saw one out there for like less than $2 on Amazon if you're interested.
Well, and also, didn't we see we read something else that talked about the broader perspective. Maybe it was McClellan. But listen to this.
Yes.
This is a nice way of putting it that I never heard before. And it's, there is a round world within the flat one we experience. Take that in. There is a round world within the flat one we experience. A whole body within the partial experience of illness. A success reality within the experience of failure. And he points out that Columbus acted on the truth that there was a round earth, a round world, when it was unanimous that it was a flat one. So it has the same power. All this stuff is
Totally.
Whatever it takes to get your mind to snap out of the self-hypnosis of whatever the fearful thought is. And I love that in the writing. What great news to discover that this fearful way of thinking is only a habit.
Yep. That's right. And you talked about this Foster McClellan book, and I always know it's good readings when they find me. Because I have my house the kitchen's been being remodeled. Everything is even more stacked on one table than normal. And I swear I felt this book call my name. It's Thoughts for a Friend by Foster McClellan. And I opened to a random page. And the thing that changes it from a 2D world, because when you're saying that, I think the same voices that were sure the world was flat, and they were like, yes, this is the way I'm told. Of course it's flat. That's the same voices that are, and it's in my head, as well as outside, that's thinking that there's that inspiration and that joyful, positive outcomes they're not possible right now. No, the data's telling me this. With the same assurance of the same people that were saying that the world was flat, they're speaking these other.
But they exist all around us, because anytime anyone starts to share about a new enterprise they're going to embark on, most everybody responds with, not everybody, there are a few friends that go, but most average people go, yeah, right. Good luck with that, pal. So they're basically saying there's no such thing.
Right.
It's saying the odds are always stacked against the good we desire.
Yes.
And pre-worrying is a killer. I easily fall into that, and I got to always go, nope, no pre-worrying.
Yes. And let me read this and then go on, because the thing that gets us out of that two-dimensional flat, like, oh yeah, good luck, buddy, where people believe there's a limited supply. You need to have this and this, otherwise it can't happen.
Or if you say, I'm going to get over this thing when you're talking about an illness or an ailment or a prognosis.
Right, because it's all based on a philosophy of limited supply that's based on a two-dimensional or maximum three-dimensional reality where there's a certain set amount, right? But the reason I want to insert this, and then you go on, is that the thing that makes the universe pop into this living reality is to recognize that it is a spiritual universe.
Yeah.
So Foster said, there exists around us a spiritual universe as well as a material universe, and there is a direct relationship between the two. From the spiritual universe comes the energy that maintains the material universe. Without that piece, right, it looks like a flat thing. Without realizing that it is from the spiritual universe that comes the energy that actually maintains the material universe. We can draw on this spiritual power or energy through the intensity of our prayers. The vigor of our drawing force through prayer is perpetually changing, for it is dependent on our state of mind. It's a personal matter. My friend, if you would like to see a great change come about in any particular area of your life, look first to your prayer habits, because prayer is the answer.
Well, just look at how facts are not necessarily true, because every contractor uses a level. Every level proves that this table is 100% flat. The levels prove it. You can put levels when you're building anything, and the level proves it is flat. But the ground, the earth is not flat.
Right.
So that's the same thing with these other ideas that seem a little bit more harder to believe. You got to remember, well, a level is the best argument. So is surveyors. They're the best argument against a round world with their instruments. But it is.
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. Right.
I mean,
from our limited perspective right here, you're 100% sure it is flat.
Well, even every tool that we have at our disposal prove it unequivocally that it is flat.
Right.
People are building monumental towers in Los Angeles based on the fact that we're under the reality that this is flat.
Right.
Every floor on a skyscraper is perfectly flat all the way to the top.
Right, right.
But we're not living on a flat surface.
Right.
So that's the thing we could use to remind ourselves that, yes, the prognosis is saying this, but I'm going to go a little higher.
Yes, that's what I was just yes. Like Anna said about Jesus, and Eric Butterworth talks about this, where you have to get a higher perspective on this planet to see that it is a perfect little marble in the sky.
Well, Eric Butterworth on one of his talks says, "Who sits in the heaven laughs at all those and people would take this verse as he's laughing at what fools we are, but no, he's laughing at the fact that we don't realize none of the things that we're thinking negatively about. Not that we're foolish, malicious, sinful people. No, it's that we're thinking so small when if you get up here with me, you'll see, wait a minute, what was I thinking?
Yes.
I read something else today. I can't remember where it was talking about get the bigger. It was the same thing. Get the bigger picture. And it was this. A lady went into a gym. Lori goes to a gym too that has this, but the story was about a specific woman. She goes to a gym, and in the gym, they have a room with the exercise bikes, and they have a large movie screen.
Right.
Lori has that at her gym. And you put on your things, and you're like watching a great movie. And the lady realized, holy cow, I worked out for an hour and a half, and that was the most I ever worked out. And the moral of the story was, when we're looking at the big picture instead of the little thing, because whenever in the analogy it was making was, when we just go to work out, we're like, okay, I got 20 minutes. We're already start mentally working against ourselves. We're not thinking of the bigger picture of life.
Right.
Of, oh, wow, I got a great life. Oh, I'm so happy I'm on this bike. And you start thinking about the big, wonderful picture of life.
Right.
And he said, when we do this, when we're doing little tasks, we got to remember this. If it's caulking the tub,
that's right.
Start imagining, wait, this is just part of a big picture.
Yeah.
I'm doing this chore. I'm feeling good about it, and get out of fighting against ourselves. So it was all about all this same stuff. It's weird. We had no idea we were going to be talking about this stuff, folks. And this just shows you how these shows come together.
Right.
And why Darrell and Ed enjoy doing them, because we benefit from the ideas that come to us during these episodes.
Yeah. This morning, yesterday or so, I think it was, Emily Katie's book, Miscellaneous Writings, popped into my hand last week, actually, the beginning of the week. And I just opened it and started reading some things. This morning I read something, and then I went to go, by the way, to pick up some new cold brew, a jug of cold brew from Rod Schweitzer, guest, actor, truth student.
And a cold brew distributor.
Yeah, and so we're drinking. Thank you, Rod. So I went to get my bootleg jug from Rod, and I was going to give him this literature from Michael Schoonover. Thanks, buddy, out there at Unity Way and Vista. He is an amazing truth teacher, truth student, minister, everything. I was going to give Rod this, but it didn't feel like.
Yeah.
First, it was like, oh, I'll give him something, and then I was like, I don't think he's going to want this. And I looked down, and it was these two readings go perfectly together, and it goes perfectly with the show. Like, how do we get out of the fear? And a lot of it has to do with recognizing that God is the one doing the work. God is the thing, the power, and the power is love, as Anna pointed out in her talk. But it says, so I just looked at this. It's from Clara Palmer. I don't know who Clara Palmer is. Maybe someday, maybe we'll learn more. But it says how God's healing works. When we desire to heal ourselves or others, we remember first of all that it is God who does the healing. Our part is to keep our faith strong, our heart free from anxiety, and let God's healing love flow through us ceaselessly. We close our mind's eye to the disease or condition that is to be removed, and we instead see the pure, redeeming life of God doing its perfect work. We think about God and our oneness with Him until we feel the quickening, healing power of the Holy Spirit flowing through our own being and from us to heal, to bless, and to restore all who are receptive to this mighty renewing life. We keep our faith centered in God and His life, and He does the healing. God works through us to make His wholeness manifest. And so in H. Emily Cady, she wrote similar things, but the thing that happens is if we forget, and she talks about how we can get tired out if we're trying to support others with prayer and stuff. In the beginning, we might feel a whole bunch of zeal. We see them as perfect and whole. But if we're not careful, we can start wondering why they're not healing faster, or thinking that we think we're the ones who need to start doing something.
Yeah, I have to start using more mental effort.
Yeah, and then we could resent them. We could internalize their whatever. We can get off the beam of joy and lightness that this is about. And she says, in the manner of God as our supply, or any other side of the divine law, which we from time to time attempt to bring into manifestation, the moment we begin to be anxious, then our quiet becomes simply airtight, the airtight valve of tension or suppressed anxiety, which shuts out the very thing we're trying to bring about and so prevents its manifestation. She says we need to rise above this state of tension to one of living trust. And I've been the king in the past of pretending I'm in a spiritual state of mind, and really I'm tense inside. I don't feel, no, I'm okay. I'm doing it. And it's I can see the family tradition there and another thing. Yeah, like holding it in. Darrell calls it, Darrell taught me the term packing the musket to pretend to be spiritual. But the other,
because they go, hi.
It's
and
like,
I'm like, wow, this guy's about to explode.
Right. Instead of breathing out love and embracing or whatever, saying hello and saying it's great to see you, it's more of like, oh, I'm going to hold in my whole self because I don't want all that stuff to get out, and I'm going to pretend, So I just want to give this quick example. I was at work and I had a couple days. One day they gave me a sub to do paperwork, and some other stuff came up, and the paperwork wasn't getting done, and part of my brain's going, what? This is supposed to be this. I'm supposed to do that. And that was the day I talked to you, and I went back to school. I went to the school and had to I tested a student. Went very well, but still there was this stuff in the background that I thought was supposed to be getting done. But the thing was, my mind had already said that stuff was hard and it was too late, and it should have been punishing me for stuff that it wasn't late, or what I mean? So, but it was already telling me that story. And so none of it was happening. So it wasn't until the end of the day, they had an assembly, and I had a student who woke up that day. He's kind of like Darrell and Ed. He woke up that day. He had one line to deliver. Every fifth grade student was delivering a line from a speech.
Wait, this is someone, Will Rubio did that recently.
Yeah, well, his name is Will also, this kid.
Because remember, he had to deliver just one line on stage?
Oh, yes! That's correct. So I went out there because this other teacher, I had already actually helped this kid get out of his anxiety and get on with the day. I intuitively was like, he's fine now. Because it really is a soul sleep. When we're dreaming in lack, it doesn't matter what we do from that place. We can't know that we're well. Any action we take from the soul sleep is not going to get us anywhere but stuck further. We need to wake up from that soul sleep, as Florence Scovel Shinn refers to it, and from the 2D flat world and start to see God present in things. So I just went out to the playground where this assembly was happening. I just knew the mom was there. Is my son going to deliver the line? I was like, he's fine. I was his line was, we lay down our arms. And so I kept, he's got a funny sense of humor, really smart kid. So I went up to him and I whispered, I'm trying to find a bag of human arms for you to lay down as a prop. He said, get out of here. So I knew he was going to be fine.
Yes.
But the thing was, in that time, I saw 5 people related to the other stuff that needed to get done that my brain was telling me wasn't going to get done. And then I was like trying hard to find a way to get it. By me forgetting it and just supporting that kid and being affirmative and saying hello to all these parents and loving everyone, I managed to do 5 things that got more done for the things that I thought weren't getting done. I mean, we talk about this all the time, and then we talk about how it feels amazing every time because God started flowing through, and I had like what most people would do with emails and calls or meetings. I did all of it and more while I was just cheering on my students to read these lines and it just reminded me, wake up first, do the like what you gave us a great quote on the talk the other day about eating the ripe fruit.
Oh, yes. This artist who was trying to help other, students trust their intuition when they're drawing or anything, or it could be used for anything. And the thing she was driving home was eat the ripe apples first, meaning go with the idea that feels good. Don't go, ooh, this is a good idea, but I'll wait till later because it's not, or this is too simple,
right?
Or I need to do this first, or this might not work. No, if you eat the ripe apple first, or the same thing is with a to-do list. If I'm thinking I got to do these things, I'm no good. I mean, we share this so many times on the show.
Right. I should have already done it.
Yeah, what happens is it's almost like time shrinks as the anxiety grows. And then I start confronting my fears in reality. People do start responding like tapping their watch or I didn't do my work. And then I get more resentful and it just it's like bear hugs kettle. It gets tighter and tighter.
Yeah.
But everyone who's a success, a joyful success, and has had continued success will tell you, do the joyful thing on your list first.
Yeah.
Because then the energy that releases, because you're really connecting, it's a direct spirit communication. When we're going with the joyful thing, it's a direct spirit communication. And there's power in that heals, that brings peace, and that does it because it's love. We're having a direct spirit connection with the love that's saying, ooh, go this way. It's like a joyful voice of God saying, ooh, let's go this way. Let's go this way. No. Nope, that's too easy. No. They might not like that. No. I don't know about that. Like, we're the ones pushing it away. I think this leads into those breaths you have, but
okay.
I just want to read this real quick. We read this before the show. Two great little readings. One is from...
You better get some glasses for that one.
I actually have glasses, folks.
That's small.
This is. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
One of the most important things I've learned is that opinions aren't facts. Just because I feel that a thing is so doesn't necessarily make it so. And that's what we were talking about. The world there's a round world in our flat experience.
Yeah.
Men are not worried by things, wrote the Greek philosopher Epictetus. But by their ideas about things.
Yes.
So men are not worried by things, but by their ideas of things. And we got a little something here from Florence Scovel Shinn. This is a book you can get online. It's called The Magic Path of Intuition. It was kind of cobbled together not too long ago from some old writings of hers. And just listen to this. No one keeps you out of your good but yourself. What you fear, you attract, and nothing can save you but neutralizing your fears. Act fearlessly and walk up to the lions on your way, and the lions disappear. And I love this. In the story of Cinderella, her stepmother and stepsisters were the thought forms she had built up in her consciousness. Nearly everyone has a cruel stepmother in their subconscious, keeping them out of their good, usually called an inferiority complex. The fairy godmother, this is that delightful ripe apple idea.
Yes.
Or, the thing that's saying, go this way. And this is the one God laughs when he sees us going, up in the heavens, like that quote when he says, no, I got to do this first. Right. And then he just goes, oh boy, this is going to be fun. Well, so the fairy godmother appears to tell her that she can go to the ball and have the things she desires. The fairy godmother is the superconscious mind, the God within, with whom all things are possible. Cinderella loses her glass slipper and gets her desire, her prince. Your fears make a galley slave of you, so call on the power within to set you free.
Yes. Dude, before we do our breaths, let me just quickly say, Darrell, you have an art class coming up. Why don't you tell them quickly what that is?
Oh, yes, the intuitive method. April, 4 consecutive Wednesdays via Zoom at 4 p.m. So that's I think it's the 3rd is the first Wednesday of April.
Okay.
To the 24th. I should put a link on our website, darrellanded.com. But you can go to thiswillmakeyouhappy.com. That's thiswillmakeyouhappy.com. And you can find all the information there. But it's actually a way of working creatively using visual art making in order to help you, all of us, reconnect or connect with that intuition and act on it in the moment. And it's something that you can start to call on your intuition on demand when you start getting familiar with how it feels as opposed to, an idea that comes from the ego or fear or excitement. And it really is, like I said, it's going to be fun and it's going to be very enlightening because you're making that direct spirit communication.
Yes. All right, then there's something going on March 10th at Unity of Santa Barbara.
Oh, yes. You got to go if you're in town, come visit us at Unity of Santa Barbara this coming Sunday, the 10th.
March 10th.
Because, yes,
2024.
March 10th, 2024. Anna Shouse is going to be on in a minute. And she saw Kathy Norman, who's the minister there, went with her husband all the way to Unity Village to get some of the great things that they no longer have on view at Unity.
Historical artifacts and such, giant globes.
The giant globe that was part of the silent Unity.
We can ask Anna what it looked like when we talk to her.
Yeah, and we got a picture we'll show you if you're watching on YouTube. So that globe is coming with Kathy. Amazing. They're driving a U-Haul back. They did this all on their own. So they're making their way back to California now. So we hope you join us. Rod's going to be there. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get Indy to go. Mm-hmm. And we're really twisting Ed's arm to go, folks. This is going to be a fun time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Patreon folks. If you haven't jumped on board and you want to get some money circulating and see it come on back to you, patreon.com/funniest thing with Darrell and Ed. We do a Tuesday prosperity Zoom every week, which has been amazing. We got a beautiful postcard if you want to send us something, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. Lois Conklin, thank you for the beautiful postcard. If you're listening, if you want to see the postcard, you can go on YouTube, Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed, and see the postcard. It's a really lovely watercolor, right? Is that
Yeah,
watercolor
she
or
makes
maybe ink?
these are original watercolors she sends us.
Color your world in many different hues, and it will brighten your day. Sending love and blessings to you and to all your listeners. We are so inspired every week. Thank you, Lois Conklin. This card is by Lois.
Yes, it is.
Yes, and then your neighbor Jillian sent us a beautiful card. It has a picture of a red poppy. That must be a symbol for resurrection, which we resurrect our spirits all day, every day. Instead of saying no to fear and worrying, say, snap out of it and wake up.
That's perfect for today's show.
Yeah, you said it last week, I believe.
Oh.
Life's joy-filled, creative, and inspired. You are lucky. Theme song, Only You, by the Platters. She said, sung to myself and God. So maybe we'll hear a little of that later. Amazing podcast and video. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jillian. So we'll wrap this up with a simple 3 breaths. And then we'll
we
bring
got to
in
thank
Anna.
Jeff Comfort. If you're listening online, if you're not watching us.
On the podcast apps.
Yeah, if you're listening, we got to thank our audio engineer.
And if you've been listening from the beginning, you probably feel like he is one of your uncles by now. His name is Jeff Comfort. And each week,
He takes us
right into the comfort zone. Yeah. He built Unity Online Radio, for crying out loud, the studio over there.
And then Jim Blake knocked it down.
All right. Let's take a deep breath to clear our mind. God gets it done while I'm having fun.
God gets it done while I'm having fun.
God gets it done while I'm having fun. I actually have been using that because my brain is still learning to accept that fact, and it needs to be. I mean, I'm learning why the power of the old metaphysicians, the New Thought teachers, had to have a little oomph. You know, sometimes you gotta have to give a little oomph. Like, no, God is getting it done while I have fun, and I need to step out boldly and have my fun and watch as the wonder of wonders, miracle follows miracle, wonders never cease. Coming up next, the Angelic Anna Shouse treats us to the good stuff with today's reading, mental trends, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed from CHOBO Studios. Oh, dear Lord.
Oh, my God. He looks like Lou Albano. Instead of rubber bands, he's got $100 Chobo bills.
Kind of looks like a little sobriety bonnet. All right, welcome back to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Today's show is called Enjoy a Fear-Free Diet, and we are very pleased to have retired Reverend Anna Shouse. I say that because she looks so happy. How are you, Anna?
I'm good. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And you're right there near Unity Village, you were telling us, huh?
Yep. Right across the street. Yes. Yes.
And
Living.
how long have you been living over there near Unity Village?
I just moved here in August. I retired from pulpit ministry from Unity of Austin in June of 22. So I stayed in Austin for about a year and really asked for guidance, and it was crystal clear to move here. Yep.
Such a
And
magical
see-
place. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good place. It's good. Yeah, I really did. I got an intuition from Myrtle Fillmore. I did back a couple years ago. So I really didn't know I was going to end up moving here. I didn't even know at that point I was going to be ready to retire, but I did. I feel like Myrtle was always the recruiter. She was the one that got people to work at Unity.
Right.
I'm not working at Unity, but
Right. Can
she
you
was
tell
the
us
one
about
that-
how that moment happened for you? What was that like when you got that intuition?
I will. Actually, like I said, it was probably over 2 years ago when I was up at Unity Village for I don't know what for some kind of, maybe just for myself. I think it was near the end of COVID and it was okay to travel again. So I came up just for some days of recreation. And one day I was taking a nap out there on the bench in the Lowell Fillmore garden. And I started waking up and I heard the voice, which I hear every once in a great while when it's really needing to get my attention. And it said, "Will you come and work for us?" And I said, "Yes." My heart just opened. And I knew that meant at a deeper level. I knew, I knew that didn't necessarily mean literally a, materialized kind of job. But so I put it on my vision board, along with one of my beautiful pictures I have of Jesus Christ and other things that he said, some different things and affirmations. And I just kept looking at it for a couple of years when I would do my prayer work in the mornings, and just knowing that it would unfold as it needed to, and knowing that I didn't know what it meant. That's a lot of the spiritual life for me, is knowing that I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
And if I hold on and trust and just let it be, then it unfolds. So then later, and I didn't at that time think necessarily it was Myrtle. I knew that was spirit talking to me. But then once I got here in August, I came in August, I had to laugh because a friend of mine in Texas, before I left, another Unity minister, was telling me his story of how years ago that he felt like Myrtle had called him to come to ministerial school here. And I laughed and I said, I think that's who it was. God through Myrtle was the one that told me, get myself up here. So I did, and here I am, just doing a lot of different little things, and doing the deep work, doing the spiritual work, and being part of all the change that's occurring at the level of spirit.
Well, just being, Ed and I had been there a couple times, 3 times now, right?
At least.
And there is a really good feeling when you're there, because I think that whole place has been so prayed up over the last 100 years, over 100 years. Well, yeah, 100 years.
Over 100, yeah.
Yeah.
Over 100 years.
So you're just like, and it's so beautiful. The whole campus, the grounds, the buildings. There's so much there. And if you just sit in any one of those chapels, you could sit anywhere on a bench. I spent some time in that little area where it has the sayings of Myrtle Fillmore. Myrtle Fillmore's, some of her quotes on the rocks.
Is it the little garden?
Yes. Myrtle's Grove.
Yeah, Myrtle's Grove. And then we were over at Lowell's garden area.
Yeah, that's where Anna was when she got the insight.
Yeah, and you're just like, this place. It's so easy to drop into meditation anywhere there.
Oh my God, yeah. I got a huge insight in my life in the archives one day, where I felt like it was Charles whispered in my ear something that, like, so simple but profoundly rippled through my whole consciousness. Yeah.
Say what it is, because that's a good saying.
Let's just see if you can help me get it right. But I remember it was something to the effect, I was sitting there and I heard a voice just say, what your problem's been, Ed? You've always had a voice in your head telling you you're doing things wrong. And something about seeing that as like this through line through what I had been perceiving as challenges, that it wasn't actually what I was doing or what was happening. It was just having a voice telling me and that I'm doing, like, it just lifted so much weight off of my shoulders. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I think it's, I don't know how to put it, but here and in any place, anyway, just in one's own life, on spiritual life, is at some point I don't know, I think when we're trying to grow, we think we're doing the spiritual growth, or we're doing that, but at some point it's taking over and it's living you.
Yeah.
Because you've let go so much, and I love that. And I think that's one of the things that's here for people at Unity Village. And I don't mean that by that it's this magic place. Some people call places like this a thin place, that the materiality is thinner and it's easier to have that experience. But because you've been doing your own work, that spirit is moving you. Yeah. So I think that is true here. Yeah.
How did you end up becoming interested in Unity? Was this something your family was always into? I mean, I'm not going to just say Unity, metaphysical teachings, and then applying them in your life. Was this something you grew up with, or something you discovered later on in life?
Well, no, I was raised a Southern Baptist in a little town in Georgia, and it was wonderful because Jesus was all over the place. And I don't know if you can see it, but that tile that I have back there on my shelf.
Ah, yes.
When I grew up in that church, there was a painting, or it was like on a. It wasn't a real painting. I don't know what it was, but it was something like it was huge, but like a wall hanging or something that looked, at least it's my memory, looked a lot like that. It's a picture of the Ascension, an image of the Ascension. And I used to just go and just look at it when I was a little kid. It was hanging up in the upstairs room. And anyway, so, and it was a good Baptist church. And I value it. There's a lot of stuff I've left behind from that, obviously, but there's a lot that I value about it. I learned a lot about the Bible, and there are a lot of good people there, just kind people. And anyway, to make a long story short, I really believe that my soul path is the Jesus Christ soul path, and that kind of like y'all are talking about books just sort of fall off the shelves at you or whatever, that that's what I'm here doing. And so whatever I do, that just draws me. So logistically, I guess I got into Unity in the early 80s. I was introduced to it. I had some friends that were interested in it, and I went, and I thought, I don't know, this is kind of weird. And I didn't like it. I didn't go back. And then a friend of I got engaged in a program for families and friends of people that have alcoholism, and have been practicing that for over 40 years, for which I'm so grateful. And at the time I got into that, I don't know, there were people that were in Unity, and it just kind of cross purposed. And so that's when I started getting interested. And I explored other religious paths. I became a Catholic and loved that because I loved the Mass. So it's been a varied journey, and I'm grateful for that. And I do feel like the through line for me is it's the Jesus Christ consciousness. And that's what I love about Unity. The way that Unity understands that is just feeds and enriches my soul so much.
That is so good to hear. It's good to hear for many reasons, because Ed and we always let people know that we're not against any religions. We try to see the good in all of them. We have a group of nuns we hang out with in Culver City. Ed sneaks in there more than I do recently because it's walking distance from where he works.
True. We text them for prayer all the time.
Yeah, and he slips in there because they have a little chapel in their bookstore that's rarely ever used. I think Ed and I use it the most. Matter of fact, one of the nuns would get a kick out of the fact that some of the people would peek in and then leave. And then I would say, well, yeah, I heard someone peek in and leave. And they said, oh, they thought you were a priest, so they got scared. Remember Sister Tekla?
They were among the first to refer to our show as a ministry as well.
Yes. Yeah, and we've had them on our show because they see the value. This is what Unity brought to the table for me. Not just Unity, but because Emmett Fox was involved with Unity. So, through Unity, this is what Unity brought to the table for me, Anna, was the fact that it took the Jesus Christ consciousness and what was taught in the Bible that I couldn't really wrap my head around, or I didn't understand if it's literal. How's that going to help me now? But what Unity brought to it for me was a clear, simple realization that I could apply Jesus's teachings to my everyday life practically, and I will experience happiness, confidence, peace of mind, and success by applying. They made it so simple. My mind could grasp, oh my God, this makes perfect sense now. like now I read the Bible and it's like, before it was scary or absurd or what are they talking about? And now it's like, I get it. This makes perfect sense. Holy cow. And I remember when I was first making those connections through reading Emmett Fox, that's what was suggested. One of the first readings while I was in the service, a guy recommended. I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. I had no idea that this is what it's all about. And I remember even in my mind going, oh my goodness, so this is what the priests and ministers have been talking about? How did I miss this? So that was the great, the thing that Unity brought to my life. And once I got that, and when you apply your thinking and bring it to in harmony with these ideas, you get results.
Right.
Even if you think I may not get results, but I'm applying it anyway, you will get results so favorable compared to what you'd been used to that you're going to be going, oh my God, I want more of this.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And for me, I was raised Catholic and I had started to have awakenings of my own. And
Sure.
then when you start to get to that point, it's like there were certain beliefs in there. There's like a limitations to what each one of us can really practically apply. And I'm like, oh, but this is happening. Like this is happening now. You know, I need practical knowledge of how to live this. So, that like led me to, Black Elk Speaks, like this, this Native American book. And cause I'm looking for practical way, like people who are living by this. Cause I was like kind of screwed in a way because I was like, no, I'm having this thing happening and no one's giving me or I'm not finding. So it took me a long time till I met Darrell that he led me to because I was doing my best with the tools I had to live it practically, and I was getting mind-blowing results, but I wasn't getting the kind of results that I found in Unity, which was you can still be a fully functioning, like, not normal person. I don't mean that, but like there doesn't need to be a costume. You don't have to, like, you can live the life and apply this practically. And it's not so much what Jesus was saying about himself. It's what Jesus was saying about all of us.
Yes.
And it is powerful and mind blowing. And so it sounds like all of us can appreciate that.
Yes.
You know, like, it's mind-blowing, and yet it's simple, and it's practical, and it's available to all of us.
Yeah, and you meet people like in businessmen, and like this is what was blowing my mind.
Right.
Because I also thought that only priests and ministers have access to that, and I have to somehow like get a vicarious...
That's kind of the old paradigm. That's
it's weird. Like I could never understand. They have to decipher it for me.
Right.
But the great news is once your mind snaps out of that old idea... old perspective, you start meeting like regular folks who are living by these principles and they're having a wonderful time. Like police officers I was meeting, other guys and girls in the military, businessmen,
right?
Like realtors, regular people who were just homemakers. Like that was there, and I was like, oh my God, this is because it wasn't so much the how big their success was on a material plane. What attracted me was they, no matter what was coming down the pike, they had this almost childlike trust in God.
Yeah. And
then they were getting results. Like they were always like, ooh, I wonder how this is going to work out. And I'm going, I want to learn how to live like that. Do you mean you're not freaking out? Like I wouldn't say that, but I was like, yeah. Oh, didn't get that job. I wonder what God's got in store for me. Something even better than I could imagine.
Right.
And I'm going, wait, how are you thinking like this?
Yes.
I want to know how to do that.
Right.
Right. Yep. That's it. I mean, we're innately spiritual. I mean, everybody is an expression of God, or however you want to put it. Religion is simply a way of understanding it. And there's an image which I find helpful, which I didn't make it up. It's I mean, a lot of people know about this, but the idea of it's that life is like religion is like a wheel, or life is like a wheel, and so if you think of the core of that wheel, or like a wagon wheel, the core of it, the hub of it, is the spirit, and everybody is innately spiritual, and so. And then the spokes of the wheel go out. And if you look at the edges or the spokes, each one might be a different religion. Just trying to find a way to express or understand or think about, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And the problem that we get into as human beings is that when we live out on the rim and think it's all about the rules and the regulations and whatever, then that's when we kill each other. But the mystics in all religions, people that are, and you don't have to be some woo-woo person. I mean, we're talking about it now, but people, would you have your own direct experience of spirit, which is normal?
Yes.
Because we're all spiritual. That's when, who cares? I mean, people can express their religion however they want to, but people at the core, when we're at the core, we get along with everybody.
Yes.
Because that's who we are.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I love about Unity also, that it gave me, well, I mean, I explore a lot of different things. I got a master's in spiritual psychology, which gave me a lot of tools, but then it all led me back to these, I mean, even that program really leads back to these new thought teachers, really, and Unity. Right. What it did for me is I no longer have to argue to try to change anyone or anything else. It's like, I read these teachings and there's people like myself, and they'll talk about maybe you think you need to fight against, but go within and release the judgment. Don't worry about, treat the concern inside myself, not try to change the outer condition. I mean, this has saved my life, really, because as I've worked in public education for a long time, and one of the things that changed is I stopped thinking, I got to change. I mean, this never spoke to me anyway, but the thought that I would have to change the public school system. Instead, I used these tools, and God put me into the schools doing things that I would have wanted to make the system change to allow me to do, but I've just been doing it anyway. I didn't have to change. I just use these principles, and I'm doing it, and I've been doing it for a really, really long time. And same thing with my family, with the Catholic Church. I made peace, because I'm just so happy that it's about me and my connection with God, and I can see how it comes through everywhere else. But at the end of the day, it's about me sitting with God, doing a morning routine and doing all of these practices that, like you said, allow me to have this personal experience and realize that that's not abnormal. That's just healthy. It's very very, very accessible to all of us.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that that the world is going through obviously a gigantic transformation right now. And one way that I like to look at it that helps me is to think that what's shaken up is the outside of that wheel, the rim, that the sense of that we're divided from each other for whatever reasons,
right,
or from ourselves, and learning that more and more, how do we live from that hub of the wheel? How do we live from that hub of spirit? And that's natural. That's how we really are, and letting go of that sense of division, and the sense of, because that's what makes us afraid. It's when we're living out there on the edge of the rim there. You have to have the rim for the wheel to work, but it has to understand that it's looking to the center to hold it together, and that we literally are all in this together. People aren't our enemies.
Right.
They may think they are, but that's their problem.
Yeah, because they get out on the rim, it looks like there's only so much, and you look different than me, and what does that mean? It must mean that you're scary. I mean, it's crazy, but this is the best analogy or metaphor for wrapping your head around. I love it. This the way you're describing it.
Yeah, me too. Super inspiring. Yeah. We're all going to shed this costume at some point, and we're going to remember, we're going to know with clarity what's really going on, and we're going to laugh with all the other spirits that have left, and it's just going to be love, and I know that for sure. And when you say that, it makes sense that whether it's global economics, politics, education, whatever's going on, there's such, well, I think once the unity, and I don't mean the brand unity, but I mean why they called it unity, this state of oneness, the divine presence. Once it is let out of the box, which it's becoming more and more let out of the box, it will it has to reorganize everything after its own image. And in that, I think that is exactly what's going on. And every group has their limiting beliefs that are coming to the surface as a result, and no one owns it. It includes all of us. And that's why it's exciting. I mean, throughout history, we were talking about the flat earth. People have been 100% sure they were right and been 100% wrong throughout history when change occurs, you know? And like, so being able to just trust in principles, like these principles of God, it's very, very helpful. That's why it used to kind of scare me a little bit when I would read God as principle. And I don't even know that really encompasses it, because it's like there are principles that allow me to know God, but God is not a word called principle. You know, like so much more.
Well, how I look at that, Emily Cady in Lessons in Truth, talks about how God is both principle and personal loving comforter.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, what's reassuring, and she says, she kind of makes a little railing there against people that would say, well, God's only cold principle. And what I love about what she's saying and what's reassuring about principle, it means that I can rely on it.
Yes.
I can rely on the principle's always going to be the same. And I experience God personally because I'm a person. God is love. God's not just a mathematical principle.
Right.
The reassurance is that I can count on God and that I can feel God's affection, if you will. I can feel that comforting presence.
Wow.
Both. Yeah.
That's mind blowing. That actually, I've been thinking, I'm so glad you're saying this, because, it's one of these things I've been revisiting, because for a while it was like principle meant I was so happy with principle, like, like that security. And now I've been just kind of looking at the other side of it. And when you're saying that, it just reminds me that, like, I can't know God unless I know me. Like, as I know these principles, then I begin to know who I really am. And when I start really knowing who I am and acting lovingly, then it becomes quite obvious that God is that also, right? It's just I'm not even sure that I can fully put words to that, but it's as I know myself as a loving being, I know God as a loving being. As I know God as a loving presence, I know myself as a loving presence. And those two things, they have to go together, right? Like our life has got to be our laboratory in order to fully experience and know these things to be true.
That's true. Spirituality is relational. When you're hanging out on the edge of the wheel there, you think it's all about rules and doing it right and wearing the right costume or doing the ritual the right way or whatever. And that, you can do all of that, but that's just a fun expression if you want to do it. But the real spirituality is what you're talking about there. And it's relational, and we're relational beings, and that which creates us relates to us. It's a both and situation.
It's funny because not too long ago, I was thinking to myself during my morning routine, I thought, you know how good it feels when someone appreciates me? I mean, this was to myself, but I mean, we could all, when someone just says, oh man, Anna, that was amazing. You're so good at that. Thanks for doing that. Mm-hmm. And you feel that good, like, wow. And I thought, wait a minute, that's how God feels when I'm appreciative and grateful. Mm-hmm. Like the same way, it was like a mind blower. Then there was another mind blower where I was by a theater in town. I'm walking and, after you learn this stuff, you become a lot more open and friendly to everyone, to strangers. You smile a lot more to people you don't know. Or you're just thinking those thoughts in your mind, blessing people, and they'll spontaneously smile or wave back at you without you even saying anything. But there was one day where it dawned on me, a guy, because anytime someone, even though I'm applying this, it's blessing these people, even on my walks up the hill every morning, when people go, hey, man, and it's like I don't know them and they're a stranger, I get such a high. Like my whole energy elevates, and it's like, I love my life. And I was like, why does that feel so good? And I thought about it, and I go, it's because it was a choice. It was a choice, just like faith is a conscious choice. I was like, it's because that guy or girl chose to send love toward me.
Mhm.
And that means they were actually choosing to get, like you're saying, to be in the center and express God to me. They don't even know me, but it was this unconditional expression of God from the center. We're not on the rim. We're not checking out each other's physiques. We're not thinking about, oh, he's working harder than me. He's got nicer sneakers. No, it's like, rip, boom, in the center, high as a kite, releasing all this good feeling energy within me and within the giver. And I was like, it's because it's a conscious choice to express God. That's what makes it so wonderful. And to not only for the expressor, but for the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. I like that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
Lovely. So, would you mind reading the Joyce Kramer reading we sent your way there, Miss
Sure.
Shouse?
This is by Joyce Kramer, who was a wonderful Unity minister. I got to meet her a few times. A good metaphysician. And she wrote this in Mental Trends. I let go of destructive mental tendencies and set my mind on the beautiful, true, and good. How would you describe the general direction of your thinking? Is the trend of your mind depressed, sad, and pessimistic? Is it tense, fearful, and worry-filled? If so, you can expect your life to follow that type of downward pattern. Let's look at a more helpful way to think. The productive state of mind is hopeful, optimistic, and expectant. It is filled with positive thoughts and feelings, constructive images, and cheerfulness. Realize that your life will follow the trend of your thought. Through giving your mind direction, providing a path for it to run on, you assure yourself that life will follow that direction. Thus, you can see how important it is for your mind to follow a constructive path. Keep your mind looking onward and upward. See that it faces the good, the greater, and the optimistic. The better the trend of your mind, the better your life. And then she quotes from Romans 12:2, which is a letter from the Apostle Paul to the church in Rome. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Wow. That was pure medicine.
Mm-hmm.
That was pure medicine. Oh.
Well, Ed?
Well, Anna?
Yes.
Have anything else we want to say before we wrap up for today? We'd love to have you on again in the future, by the way, if you'd be willing to return.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do want to share something. This is something that, I don't know, I found a few years ago, and I absolutely love it. I think I was researching for a Sunday talk and looking up the I am to see, just refreshing and seeing what was said. So this is the deal. There's in the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, AKA in the Christian tradition as the Old Testament, in 2 Kings chapter 6, there's a story about Elisha, who was a prophet, and his servant. And the short version is that basically Elisha was being hunted down by the king and the queen. They were mad at him about some stuff. And so he was in trouble. So the armies were after him. So he and his servant went and hid out in a city for a while. And in the morning, Elisha sent the servant out to see what was going on. So the servant comes back, and I am paraphrasing, and he says, basically, Elisha, we are in very deep doo-doo because the king's army is out there. They're surrounded the city. We are in big trouble. And Elisha, being so consciously connected to God, said this, and this is in 2 Kings 6, verse 16 and 17. He replied, "Do not be afraid, for there are more with us than there are with them." Then Elisha prayed, and this relates to what y'all were saying at the very beginning about what we see and what we're related to. Then Elisha prayed to God, and he said, "Oh Lord, please open his eyes that he may see." And so the Lord opened the eyes of the servant, and he saw the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. That's the truth. When we're looking and connecting from the spiritual realm, we see how protected we are. If we only see, back to the wheel thing, the rim of the wheel, if we only see the materiality, we are constantly in deep doo-doo because things are always changing and falling apart. At the material level, that's how it works. And when we ground ourselves in spirit, we see the truth, we see the presence of God, and we see who we are. And I want to share with you too what Charles Fillmore Fillmore and a lot of other people helped compile the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. And he's talking about the I am. That's where this passage is quoted in there. So here's what is said in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary if you look up I am. And it relates to this passage. It says, the I am always assures us that the preponderance of power is with the spiritual. Listen to this part. I love it. Fear throws dust in our eyes and the mighty spiritual forces that are always with us. Blessed are those who deny ignorance and fear and affirm the presence and power of the I am. They behold the mountain of exaltation full of horses, which are the powerful spiritual forces, and the chariots of fire, the life energies that are round about Elisha, the spiritual I am. So that's where the power is.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny?
What's the reading, by the way?
It's from the Bible.
It's the Bible passage is in 2 Kings, and you can look in chapter 6. You can look around there, and you'll find more of the whole story about Elisha there.
Great.
And then the passage from the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary is if you look up the I am, you'll find it there.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a great image.
Well,
Yeah,
here's something. This was what actually inspired this topic today. Reverend Michael Schoonover sends us, so much old-timey. I could
get Michael's email. I know Michael. I love him.
So I pretty much I could wallpaper the Pentagon. I have so many of these.
My car is basically wallpapered at this point.
But I got to thank him again because I turned the page last week when we knew you were going to be on the show. And it says at the top of this page, it's a page from Richer Living, which was a Science of Mind daily word type thing from 1974 booklet. And the title was Feel Fear-Free. Feel Fear-Free. But listen to this I love this Bible quote. And this is highlighted. I highlighted it also. It's such a beautiful idea. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. And that's from Psalm 91. Verse 11. Yeah. Isn't that a wonderful? Imagine. Just grab a hold of that truth that you have angels, a whole bunch of angels watching out for you, ready to go to work for you.
Yes. Agreed.
who love you and protect you. I mean, if I walked around with that idea in my head more often than not, I wouldn't have a problem in the world. I wouldn't have any anxiety. It's just choosing to, when you're on the rim, it's so easy to end up, it's funny, the rim of the wheel, it's almost like, I'm on the rim of the wheel again. And you're like in one of those cartoons.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched the Jetsons? In the opening scene, he ends up on the treadmill, but the dog gets a hold of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's like being on the rim, folks. We're like George Jetson going, whoa, poof, whoa, poof, and he's going around. What's his wife's name?
Right.
He's shouting, Jane, help! Whoa, poof. Whoa, poof.
Yeah.
So let's get off the rim, folks. Remember, you have a whole fleet of angels who love you so much. They came with you while you were here. They're here to support you and love you. God loves you. Darrell and Ed loves you. I'm sure Anna Shouse loves you.
Yeah. This morning I was actually saying to the angels, because I've been doing the Mae McCarthy writing a letter to to God, my business partner. She calls it the chief spiritual officer. I just call it God, my business partner. And then been doing the Kathy Norman drawings to really get myself into feeling what's going on. And right before the show, I drew. It's I don't even think you can see it from there, but I'll show it to Darrell. It's a little all of our faces. I just draw like circles for our faces, but I have Anna, Indy, Darrell, and myself. But in there, I've developed these little angels I draw even if I don't do any other drawings. When I write my letters, I draw angels all over throughout. And I was just asking the angels to help me see you today, because it is such a wonderful thought. And, we know feeling and thought creates the demonstration. So I'm, really wanting to tap in more and more to feeling more and more often. Well, the other day, by the way, I was at school and this kid wouldn't come into school. And I was having a day. I didn't really want to be at school. And his mom texted me and she was like, see, he's out in the car. And I think they get into it, so they don't always, like they're all worked up together about him coming.
She winds him up before she sends him in.
But it was like one of these opportunities for me to turn off the worry of my own, change the channel. I went outside. I talked to him a little bit. I used some tools that I had learned or been reminded of. Instead of, can you please come? Instead of say, would you please come in here? I think it would be a better idea, like if we are inside, or we can hang out in my room and unwind. But I really wasn't feeling it. So I said, I said his name. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to get the magnets set up you like in my room in case you want to come in. But really, I just needed to go in and reset. So then I sat in the office for a minute and prayed and affirmed, turned over all of what I was feeling and acknowledged that I didn't really want to be there, but I was turning that over to God, and I was calling in the angels. And then right then, someone I hadn't seen in 10 plus years from the spiritual psychology master's program walked in the door because they were having a parent tour day, and she now has a 5-year-old daughter that is considering going to the school. So right when I was praying, she came in, and why it was so helpful, because then I was able to ask her, can you please send love to this kid?
Yeah.
And my mind opened. I went out there, and short story long, within minutes, all of a sudden, he was willing to come inside, and he got his day going. And then, like I said, he participated in that assembly. Like everything, when I brought God back into the picture and felt those angels and kind of just it really does. It's a total different sense of well-being that takes over us when it's the light bulb going on inside. It feels amazing when that power starts to flow. So, what an amazing time we've had with you, Anna. Thank you for all this inspiration. I love it.
It's great to spend time with you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, wait, we got to tell a story.
We're not going to say goodbye. We have a couple more minutes, but we have a story. And I also want to say one last thing that you said that was helpful, which is letting it being an adventure, the spirit, like not having to know. I've been saying this forever. Like I am feeling compelled and I'm getting glimpses and images of where I'm going next in my life, but I don't always know, but I don't have to know. Getting those little glimpses lets me know it's happening on the edge of spirit, in the realm of spirit, which is actually far more real than anything else. But I love that. Like it has to be, I like the fact that it becomes a mystery, a wonderful mystery. To let myself off the hook, that I don't have to know, that not in that way. It's a deeper knowing. It's a feeling. It's a, I don't know. It is quite magical. And it is quite wonderful. So thank you for that reminder.
Well, I also like the part where you decided to act on that strong intuition to move, because you even said it, not knowing what it means at first.
Yes.
But the key is acting on it regardless. And it releases so much energy and power, like we were saying, because it's a direct spirit communication.
Yeah.
And I've never regretted when I follow that hunch that seems absurd or scary. And it always leads to something. Like I'm going for what I think is the reason. Like it was delightful enough to get me moving in that direction, but it turns out to be so much more.
Yeah.
Always absolutely. So much more. Like that's the great mystery of it all.
Yeah. And remembering that fear is an emotion and love is a power, like you said in that talk that I listened to. That's really, really helpful because fear can feel so compelling when it's active.
Well, and also remembering that fear throws dust in our eyes.
Yes.
It's not even real. It just throws dust in our eyes, and we can't see what's real anymore.
And when we get caught in living in the emotion, we're on the rim. But
that's right.
Inside there is the power. Like the margarita, man. You don't want to just sit there licking the edge and having the salt, man. You got to go into that.
That's why I use the straw.
That's right. Yeah, and that prayer, God, open my eyes. Open my eyes.
God, open
Show
my
me what's
eyes.
true.
Open my eyes. Show me what's true.
Now, is this a true story when she was in Austin? We found something.
Oh, yes.
TMZ, Austin, about Anna Shouse. Don't get too nervous. No. Don't get too nervous. We find these about everybody.
Yeah, a while back, Anna Shouse owned a large farm, apparently. She had a pond in the back. It was properly shaped for swimming, so Anna fixed it up nice. Picnic tables, horseshoe courts, and some apple and peach trees. One evening, Anna decided to go down to the pond, since she hadn't been there for a while, and look it over. She grabbed a 5-gallon bucket to bring back some fruit. As she neared the pond, she heard voices shouting and laughing with glee. As she came closer, she saw it was a bunch of teenagers having fun in her pond.
Those rowdy teenagers. What were they doing in her pond?
Well, they were swimming and having a great time. She made the teenagers aware of her presence, and they all went over to the deep end. One of the teenagers shouted,
"No matter what you say, we're not leaving, lady."
Anna frowned.
"I didn't come down here to kick you guys out of my pool."
The teenagers were surprised. Then, holding the bucket up, Anna said,
"I'm just here to feed the alligator."
All true.
She's quick on her feet, Anna. She's quick on her feet.
Well, thank you, Anna. And thank you, Jillian, for the card earlier and the song suggestion. I mean, if there's one thing we've learned today is that only joy can make this world seem right. Only joy can make the darkness bright. Only joy and joy alone can thrill me like you do.
Ooh, wow, wow.
And fill my heart with love for only you.
Visit DarrellandEd.com to find easy links to everything we do. And thank you for being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed.
For you're my destiny. When you hold my hand,
I understand
the magic joy can do. You're my dream come true, my one and only you. Anna Shouse, we love you.
Love you. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
$500.
Really?
See, $200 for you, sir.
$100 for you. What the heck? No.
$100 for you. Are you serious? Yeah, I'll give you $100. Of course. Thank you so much.
When you record your podcast at CHOBO Studios, you're helping people in need. Here at CHOBO, we take a bold stance on helping the community by giving away 10% of all revenue, not just profit, to kind, hardworking people in the streets of Los Angeles. And thanks to all these wonderful podcasters, we've been able to give $1,400 this year alone through our kindness initiative, CHOBO Kindness. Brought to you by CHOBO Studios, LA's premier podcasting powerhouse. Follow for more.